A season is set for everything. A time for every experience under heaven. A time for dancing and a time for wailing. A time for birthing and a time for dying. A time for speaking and a time for silence. A time for seeking and a time for losing. The time of mourning is a complicated time filled with many emotions and memories, both bitter and sweet. We begin our service with the recitation of Tehillim and prayers, thus linking Shirley's life with the 3,000-year-old tradition of the people of Israel and the eternity of God. The 121st Psalm of David. Shir l'mahalot esayna el ha'arim me'ayin yavo ezeri me'im Adonai ose shamayim va'aretz al yiten lamot raglecha al yanu mishmrecha hine lo yanum velo yishan shomer Yisrael Adonai shmerecha Adonai tzilcha yad yeminecha yomam hashemesh lo yakeka ve'areach v'alayla Adonai yishborcha mikol ra yishbor et nafshecha Adonai yishbor tzeicha u'boecha me'ata ve'ad olam. I turn my eyes to the mountains and ask, from where will my help come? My help comes from Adonai, maker of heaven and earth. Adonai will not let your foot give way, your guardian will not slumber. The guardian of Israel neither slumbers nor sleeps. Adonai is your protection, a guardian at your right hand. By day the sun will not strike you, nor the moon by night. Adonai will guard you from all harm and guard your life, as Adonai guards your going and coming, now and forever. It is my honor at this time to indicate the order of the family members which will be speaking, beginning with Chaim, followed by Gerry, and then we'll have the grandchildren coming up to offer words of hesped, Ariella and Perry, followed by Alyssa, then Jory and Daniel. Chaim.
Bobby Shirley, I call my mom the same name that my kids call her, was a wonderful woman who always had love for her family and friends. Bobby was an eternal optimist, always seeing the silver lining in every situation. Recently I asked Mom if she missed not driving, and she would shrug and say, no, this way I get to see more of the view along the way. Today, as we celebrate Bobby's life, we remember how she instilled hope, joy, love, and light into our lives. When my father, Zeta Jake, first asked Bobby to go out, she was hesitant because she didn't know that he was Jewish. He was from Saskatchewan, and his last name was unfamiliar to her. Fortunately, a mutual friend confirmed that Zeta was indeed Jewish, and the rest is history. Bobby and Zeta were longtime members at Beth David Synagogue, and my siblings and I spent many Shabbos and holidays there as we lived around the corner while we were growing up. We were raised with Jewishkeit, and we saw how generous and welcoming Bobby and Zeta were hosting many friends and relatives at our house and cottage, including Shabbos dinners, parties, and celebrations. Bubby was a devoted Hadassah member, a Hadassah executive actually, and she organized the annual bazaar for her chapter for many, many years. With 5 children, Bubby was an expert at multitasking before such a term was even invented. Bubby had a network of little birdies in the neighborhood who would help watch over us and keep us in line. We recall summers at the cottage, foregoing summer camps, and spending wonderful times at the lake. When we bought a ski boat, Bubby showed her devotion to us by learning how to drive it so we can go skiing whenever the lake was calm. I am fortunate to have my birthday in August, and Bubby would make delicious chocolate cakes for us and the neighborhood kids to enjoy. Luck was on Bubby's side 4 years ago when COVID first started. I went to the airport to pick her up from a trip returning from Florida. Mimi learned that there was a contagious outbreak at the retirement home, so she was advised to stay elsewhere. What a lucky turn. She moved in with us in the summer of 2020 and became an integral part of our house for the last 3.5 years. We were honored having Bubby as our housemate, staying with Jory, Ethan, and Mackenzie. What a blessing for us. We were always greeted with Bubby's bright smile and comforted by her warm company. She lived safely and happily with us. No isolations or lockdowns for our Bubby. Bubby was a card shark and a fierce competitor. Our gin, rummy, and fish were nightly events at our house. She loved watching sports with us, cheering on the Argos and Leafs, especially her favorite player, Willie Nylander. She would call out to the TV to tell the goalie to get back in your net. My kids were amazed to hear about Bubby buying standing room only tickets when she was young to witness the Maple Leafs winning the Stanley Cup at Maple Leaf Gardens. Bubby never complained, never. Just over a year ago, she had a pacemaker installed. And the doctor told me that she would be in discomfort, but whenever I offered her Tylenol, she would just say, "It's all right, maybe later." She recovered quickly and was up and at it. Bubby enjoyed life and kept her mind sharp, partaking in daily walks in my neighborhood, watching old-time movies, doing word search puzzles, and reading book after book on her Kobo. Bubby loved talking to family and friends on the phone, catching up on current stories, and reminiscing about past celebrations. Last summer, Bubby was thrilled to be at Justin's wedding to Ashley, and later Alyssa's to Miles. For each Shimcha, Bubby looked wonderful walking down the aisle and quelling to watch the ceremonies and events of the evening. Thank you all. During the spring, summer, and fall, Bubby and I, and often Jory, would walk through the nearby park or around the block. She would usually want to get a longer view of my garden after the walk to enjoy the blooming flowers. David once mentioned to me, there are too many flowers there, but there were never enough for Bubby. She would ask me to tell her the names of the flowers. Each day I would say, these are the dahlias. And each day she would tell me, those are the best ones. Bubby loved her children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren so much. She always enjoyed seeing our family and loved to hear what everybody is up to. Bubby loved giving Mimi her daily updates every afternoon. As a habit, this conversation would include Bubby's impression of the previous night's Dinner. Bobby would especially love the meals that Mackenzie would create for us, with handmade gnocchi and vegetable soups being near the top of the culinary preferences. My meals were pleasing, but not at Mac's level. Bobby loved when I barbecued pineapple slices and hot dogs, which were officially known as hot diggities. Those were always a hit with Bobby. Each night, Bobby would wish me a good night's sleep, and she and Joy would discuss her positive impressions of the day. He was my formidable right-hand man in taking care of Bobby, and I am eternally grateful for the care and love he shared with her. Their bond was a special thing to witness. Bobby had a tremendous singing voice. Among her favorite songs was the classic Somewhere Over the Rainbow, which is so appropriate now. Each birthday celebration was augmented by Bobby singing Happy Birthday and adding and many more signature addendum afterwards. Bobby would greet each Shabbos after the candles were lit with a Good Shabbos, Kinderlach, to all of us. Bobby was a fashion influencer. She was well known for her vibrant style, featuring a revolving door of show-stopping hats and colorful scarves. We could easily spot Bobby in the crowded synagogue at the high holidays, just looking for her brightly colored hat. Her favorite color is purple, and Mackenzie would paint her nails with a deep purple polish. The whole family is sorry we can't spend more time with you, but we're comforted to know that you can now be with Zeta Jake, your parents, Brother Lou, Sister Helen, and all the other relatives who have left us and are now in heaven above. You continue to inspire and encourage us. You would always say, out with the right foot. Everyone knows that. Whenever we faced a school test, medical procedure, life event, or challenge, my siblings and I wish our children the same expression as a family tradition. We love you, Bobby, and thank you for your wisdom, kindness, and most of all, your love.
I don't mourn my sister-in-law. Can you hear me? Wait, put it down. I'm celebrating my sister's life. Look at the legacy. It doesn't get better than that. But I thought I would think of 10 things about my sister. And she gets 10 out of 10 out of everything. And the first one, because my sister-in-law sent an email, she is waiting to be airlifted back from Florida. And she said, we have lost the beautiful sister Shirley. Beauty is number one. She was the beauty in our family. She had something from the time she was born. My mother brought her back from Mount Sinai Hospital, and one of the neighbors said, Mrs. Simowitz is lost it. Why? She is walking up the street with a doll. She doesn't have a baby, she has a doll. Okay. But anyway, she was in the age of Shirley Temple, but she had a lot more than Shirley Temple. My grandfather, who was a very serious man, who really spent very little time with all of us, was in love with Shirley. He actually gave her a little sewing machine, and Shirley told us, I wasn't there, that she was going to marry Sadie Schwartz. And they were going to have, they were going to live in a house, and they were going to have a green bedroom set. Okay? But she had that ability with people. Even my grandfather, to bring humor out of him, was really something, I can tell you. So I think about her, beauty is number one. Number two, she didn't have an envious bone in her body. She was the baby for 8 years, and then I came. And she was my big sister, and the love was there. There wasn't any envy, and Shirley in her whole life never envied anyone. But there was another thing about Shirley. She was contented. How many people do you know who have contented? She had it. It was a gift. And that was my number three. And then her charitable side. She got lost in Hadassah, loved it, stayed with her chapter, became the president, and stayed till they terminated. And worked very, very hard for Hadassah. Religion. Some people are hypocrites. Not my sister. She embraced the Jewish religion. She was very proud of being Jewish, had all the traditions, and enjoyed it. She went to synagogue every Saturday, and when she couldn't go, she watched the service remotely. But she embraced religion. There wasn't a hypocritical bone in her body. And then talk about motherhood, looking at her. Remarkable family, absolutely remarkable. But kids aren't born remarkable. That takes parenting. And they had the privilege of Shirley and Jane. And look at them. I don't have to say anything else. Motherhood is something, but being a daughter is more important. My mother, may she rest in peace, had a stem stroke and was at Branson Hospital for 15 months. 24/7, Shirley Birbrager was at Branson Hospital feeding my mother. That's a perfect daughter. Now, talking on a personal level, I think about her, and I have 2 left feet. I don't envy